From Hollywood Smoke in Santa Monica, I'm Steve Kim. Welcome to another edition of 10 Count. I'm joined by Michael Baca and Doug Fischer. Guys, a lot of things going on in the lightweight division. This past Friday night in Reading, Pennsylvania on Spike for the vacant IBF title. In a very good scrap, Robert Easter edges past Richard Commey, so he's now a belt holder. I thought the judges got it right. It's one of those very close, tactical, action-packed fights at times. But when it was all said and done, Doug, I said Easter did a little bit more.
I think so. I would have been okay with a draw, but I thought Easter boxed brilliantly for the level of experience that he has. And I was really happy to see this fight. There were two legitimate top 10 lightweight contenders. Commey from the boxing-rich nation of Ghana, maybe a little bit better traveled, you know, a little more worldly, a little more mature. But the thing about Easter is he's got that freakish height and reach, and he knows how to use it. Yeah. And he's got the speed, he's got the reflexes, he's got the pop on the end of those shots. And what we learned in this excellent 12-rounder, he's got the whiskers. Yeah. I mean, that's a tough combination to beat. Somebody who knows how to fight to the best of his ability, given his style and his stature and his athleticism and his physical attributes. And I think he's a welcome addition to a 135-pound division that is quickly heating up and really becoming one of the marquee weight classes in boxing.
Yeah, Doug, sometimes guys are built like Tommy Hearns, and Tommy did have a problem with the whiskers a little bit. Junior Jones comes to mind. When you're built like that, you're not going to always be
sturdy.
Scrap Iron Johnson.
Yeah,
Let's just
you're not
going
to
be
that durable.
Or George Chuvalo. But September 24th, this is a fascinating fight, and I believe an American network, AWE Wealth, has picked it up for the 14 people that have it. DVR it for me, please. I don't. Mike, can Jorge Linares go back into England this time and beat a streaking Anthony Crolla?
I think he can, and I think actually Crolla can do the same, which makes this a very intriguing fight. Linares is one of those guys where he's technically sound. In the gym, he's often described as, I don't think I've ever seen anything better than this guy. Yeah. But in the ring, he's very chinny, as we all know.
And he cuts, swells.
Yes. Yeah. And it makes his fights always awesome.
Drama.
I mean, he's very dynamic. Yeah, absolutely. Crolla is coming off a very good come-from-behind victory off Ismael Barroso.
Oh my God.
He's losing the fight and knocked out Barroso in, I believe, the 5th round and down on all cards.
Was he really down on the scorecard?
I'm pretty sure he was.
You know, that's interesting because the way I saw that fight, that rematch, or not a rematch, the Barroso fight, was he walked him down. Yeah. And I mean, he applied smart pressure that caused Barroso to gas out. And then he knew what to do. He took him out of there. I mean, he invested to the body, but maybe Barroso just a little bit more dynamic,
he started
being the
off
puncher.
Very well.
Yeah, absolutely. But to me, it felt like Crolla was in control of that fight. Maybe he was losing rounds, but he knew exactly what he was doing, and the stoppage went according to plan, is what it looked like.
Yeah, you know, Linares is a guy that I remember back in like 2005 or 6. I was at the Wild Card. This is when Manny Pacquiao was still basically not a real mega superstar, still working out upstairs.
Yeah, still like a junior lightweight.
Right, it was the late, great McAfoley and Rui Hernandez came up to me at separate times as I'm kind of getting ready to leave. They said, Steve, there's a kid right here, he's like 19, 20 years old. He is giving Manny fits in the gym. And I said, who? And they said, this kid Linares. So I stuck around. And from that day, I was sold. But as I've said about certain fighters, they are supremely gifted but fatally flawed. If he had just a little bit better punch resistance, this guy'd be a pound-for-pound titan. But here's the interesting thing about the Crolla fight. If you look at all the belts that Linares has won in the past, and he's won a lot of them, been of the interim variety or the vacant. Right. Yeah. I think the Crolla fight, if he can come into the Lions Den and beat a guy with a lot of momentum, trained by Joe Gallagher, one of the big-name trainers, I think in many respects, it does legitimize all the hype he had about 7-8 years ago.
Yeah, and it also legitimizes his place in the lightweight division. Yeah. Because a lot of folks, and Ring Magazine included, kind of have him at number 1 by default because he's been on the scene for such a long time. There's a lot of talent at lightweight, and all of them have just come onto the scene in the last 18 months. Terry Flanagan, Crolla, Robert Easter just within this past weekend. All these guys, even Dejan Zlaticanin.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do you say?
Zlaticanin.
Let's just
You
call him
say it
Dejan.
nicely.
I do. It flows off the tongue.
It does. I
really
like the way you
does.
say
Yeah.
it. We all know who we're talking about. He's got the WBC title. He just emerged. So Linares, he's got a bit of a checkered past, but just because he's been around for such a long time, people kind of put him in that top position, but you can make arguments against him. So he does. He needs to have a really good win, and what better way to do it on the road in the Lions Den at Manchester Arena against a guy who's still in his prime and who's streaking right now.
And it's turned into a draw. I mean, when I say Lions Den, this is going to be a very heavy pro-Crolla crowd.
Yeah, it's gonna be
like
crazy.
99-1. Outside of Robert Diaz at Golden Boy, I don't think anyone in that audience will be pulling for Linares. Speaking of Dejan, I'm being told Mikey Garcia is stepping right up to the plate. He's going to just take one tune-up. They want that fight. What I've been told, it looks like it's going to be in L.A., not October 15th. They're going to back it up to October 29th. No real big difference. Mike, I want to give Mikey Garcia a lot of credit. He is not easing into it. He's not putting his toe into the water. He's diving right into the deep end here.
Love it. Love this. I was afraid it was going to take a while for him to really test himself, because that first fight, while he looked fantastic, knocked his opponent down many times.
Journeyman.
It was an easy fight. He knew within the first minute that he could do whatever he wanted. Dejan, on the other hand, he's a smaller guy than Mikey, but he himself has some heavy hands and can take a punch. His WBC belt, wasn't it stripped from Linares?
It was Linares. Linares
because of
had
an
it.
injury?
Yeah,
Okay.
he'd been out too long. And then Linares' choice to fight Crolla, I think, forced the WBC to
Yes.
make a choice on who's going to really hold their title.
And didn't they make some diamond belt?
Of course.
To call it
Of course.
unification? Wow.
Yeah, and to get
Whatever, yeah.
get a sanctioning fee. Why not? Why get one sanctioning fee
Yeah.
when you can get 2 or 3? I mean, come on, that's sanctioning.
Wow.
That's sanctioning body 101. But I also give Mikey Garcia a lot of credit, and I think he felt good. I think he weighed in at 138 for his comeback fight. He knocked the rust off. He never left the gym. He just needed to be in the ring for a real fight. So he feels himself, and I think, and Garcia is a very sharp, analytical dude. Counterpunchers usually are. He looks at Dejan and says, "Okay, yeah, this guy he's a tough cat. Comes right at you, but that's what I like.
Yeah.
I'm a counterpuncher
Fastballs down the middle.
with power. So a short guy who's going to come right at me plays to my strength."
And speaking of that,
And by the way, I favor Garcia in that fight.
Oh, heavily, I think.
one of Zlaticanin's advisors, who goes to the wild card a lot, I think people kind of know who he is, don't want to out him. When he told me, "Steve, we've got this fight," I said to him, "Are you surprised that Mikey Garcia is jumping right to you guys?" He says, "I can't believe it, and we love it." So they have the exact same type of confidence that Mikey Garcia might have in Riverside. Now, the other belt holder here is the WBO guy named Terry Flanagan. Now, I've had, just by coincidence, the past 4 weeks, I've interviewed like 4 or 5 different lightweights, different stories. Every time I ask them, "Well, what fight do you want?" the default name is Terry Flanagan. Everybody wants Flanagan. He's like the guy the prettiest girl that has not been asked to the prom, but everybody wants Terry Flanagan.
I don't understand that. It's like they want him. It's like they think he's a mark. Like he's the weak link.
I believe so.
I gotta tell you, I don't see it. I mean, he's a big, strong, lanky southpaw.
Yeah.
I think he's been developed well. I think maybe the thought process is that he was carefully matched. That there's like his record, that undefeated record, and it's nice. It's like 30-0 is a bit of a mirage, but I like what I've seen from him.
What does it tell you before it was Puerto Rican Knievel with Felix Verdejo, that as shaky or as stalled as the progress was of Verdejo the last, let's say, 12 months, and his stock had gone down, right, from all of us, that Top Rank said November 5th, underneath Pacquiao Vargas, let's get the passport, let's pay Flanagan for Verdejo. right there is kind of an indictment of what they think of Flanagan, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we've been wrong about European fighters.
Yes,
before.
we have. Calzaghe, Lacey.
Yeah. I mean, we could do a top 10 list of underrated or overlooked UK title holders who either come over here and shock us or, make their fans happy at home. And most recently was Carl Frampton, against Leo Santa Cruz. A lot of people just kind of dismissed him, and they shouldn't have.
Who did that?
I don't know.
I didn't. Well, the word was dominate, I think. Was the one you used.
We've all had those. We've all had those. Don't worry about it.
Wrapping this up, at 135, you also look at some of the other contenders. I think Verdeo will eventually come back. Juan Diaz, the baby bull, is still out there, recognizable name. Jose Felix has a big record. Alejandro Luna is a pretty solid fighter. Problem is, and again, I think this is a microcosm of boxing. I think this division is deep. It's got some good belt holders, got some local draws, got guys that have some big names. Here's the problem. The fracturing of the business, I don't even know if it's even worth talking about fantasy fights, because quite frankly, that's all they might be.
You have a lot. You have talent with the PBC, with Robert Easter Jr. and I don't know what's up with the Bartholomew.
He moved up to 140.
So he's 140. So he's no longer a 135-pound player. Who else does the PBC have though at lightweight that they can match Easter
they'll
with?
find somebody. Trust me, they will. They have a big
that's
roster,
going to be
Doug.
significant. My thing is, okay, so they fight in their separate leagues for another year or two, and then whatever. Somehow the PBC is going to evolve or dissolve.
Yeah. One
of the two things. And at that point, hopefully we can get these matchups at lightweight because they're not that expensive. It's not like middleweights or heavyweights or whatever, or even welterweights. And the fighters know that in order to make that really good money, they have to fight each other. I think they realize that. And the thing is all these guys are either just entering their primes or at their peaks right now. So I think there is an impetus for them to get it on.
All right, well, that's it for this edition of 10 Count. On behalf of Doug Fischer and Michael Baca, this is Steve Kim saying till the next round, goodbye, everybody.